Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. A massive win for Hugh Freeze in the Auburn Tigers Saturday night against Texas A&M. And I think one of the biggest takeaways from Auburn winning that football game, and really what you've seen from Auburn in the back half of 2024, is the best players on this football team are a lot of young cats, guys who are sophomores and true freshmen. And so you look at the landscape, the future of this Auburn team, and say you have the building blocks to be a very good football team in 2025. And, another one of those takeaways was that win to me felt a little bit different. You look at this Auburn team in the scope of 2024. We said this heading into the Texas A&M game. This Auburn team, from a down-to-down basis, has not been a very bad football team. In fact, it's been pretty good in terms of down-to-down success rate. The problem with Auburn is, one, not figuring out ways to win football games, but I think more importantly, finding ways to lose them. And so you look at this Auburn team heading into 2025, and we're going to have a lot of conversation around where Auburn should go in the transfer portal. I think the first step into determining that is taking a look at this roster and taking a look at the pieces that you have a lot of confidence in heading into 2025. Want to give us some shout outs to some of the young talent on this Auburn team that I think's been playing some great football over the last couple of weeks. And I'm going to start with this, just a quick disclaimer. We're not even going to talk about Cam Coleman. And so and the reason we're doing that is I think the Auburn fans know they got a really special football player in Cam Coleman. I don't need to tell. I don't think I'm giving any groundbreaking analysis when I'm saying Cam Coleman's one of the best freshmen that we see across the country. I want to focus in on, some of the more unsung heroes, the freshmen that have been playing a lot of football and have been playing a lot of good football over the last couple of weeks, not named Cam Coleman. Fired up to get into it now. Before we do, and as always, to the Auburn fans, one, the amount of support y'all have shown the boys, even as 2024 has been a rough one, means the world. We're going to be talking a lot about this football team over the next couple of weeks as they get aggressive in the transfer portal. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Much more importantly, I got 6 names that I want to talk about, probably leaving out some really good football players. So would love to hear from y'all in the comment section as well. Without further ado, let's start in the back end of this Auburn defense. Let's talk about Caleb Harris. Caleb Harris was a 3-star commit in the 2024 class from the state of Alabama, a guy that was not necessarily on a lot of people's bingo cards in terms of true freshmen that were going to help this Auburn team win games. In fact, I'm on record saying Cam Coleman and Amaris Williams were my 2 true freshmen that I thought were going to have a massive impact. Now, Amaris Williams, I think, as a result of having some really good edge rushers, hasn't played as much as I expected. I still think there's a really bright future. You look at Caleb Harris, I think the first thing that really stands out to me is the versatility. They're doing so much with this kid. They're putting so much on his plate, and he's just living up to it every single Saturday. I mean, he's lined up 187 snaps as a free safety, 212 snaps as a box safety, 87 in the nickel. They're giving him so much different responsibility. They're putting him in so many different positions on the football field, and it never feels like he's confused. It never feels like the moment's too big. So that's my first takeaway. A lot of these true freshmen that can't get on the field early, it has a lot to do with just the game being a little bit too fast. The game doesn't seem fast for Caleb Harris. The football instincts are extremely good. I think the second thing is he's tackling at such a high level, right? 12 run stops on the year. He's one of the best run supporting secondary members for this Auburn team. A 4.3% missed tackle rate. That is extremely low for a safety in general, extremely low for a defensive back. That's a true freshman. We see a lot of true freshmen get on the football field. They can do some good things, but when it comes to tackling grown men, they struggle a little bit. Caleb Harris has not struggled. The physicality is there for Caleb Harris. And then in coverage, 24 targets. He's only given up 11 receptions. He can hold up in man coverage, which is a massive attribute when you're talking about safeties, especially in a DJ Durkin defense that wants to send pressure. And at times are going to ask your safeties to hold up in man coverage. Caleb Harris can do that. And so Caleb Harris, to me, one, checks so many boxes. It's been extremely impressive to see the amount of different ways that Auburn is deciding to use this kid. And it never seems like the moment's too big. And I think another true freshman that has been playing some great football, Jay Crawford. Now, Jay Crawford probably didn't have the best football game Saturday night against Texas A&M. Gave up two big plays, 2 touchdowns, I believe. Now, that one to Noah Thomas on that slant, I don't know if that's always on Jay Crawford. One was a really good throw by Marcel Reed. The throwing window was not very big. Like, Jay Crawford wasn't just like cooked on that play. More importantly, I think that was a little bit more in the safety, Jaron Thompson. He's expecting some help in the middle of the field in man coverage. Jared Thompson tries to jump the route, doesn't, and it ends up going for a big play. It wasn't a great play by Jay Crawford. He didn't make a play there, but I don't think that was just a really bad play. And then the second touchdown he gave up was, kind of crossers in man coverage, which was just a very good play call by Coach Colin Klein and that Texas A&M team. I believe that was in overtime. But you take a look at what he's done on the year one, it tells you something when they don't take him off the field. Played 88 snaps in that football game. I believe there's only 90 snaps that he could have played. So he's off the field for 2 plays in that football game. 31 targets on the year, has only given up 13 catches, a 41.9% completion percentage. And it seems like Auburn is extremely comfortable just leaving him out there on islands. Auburn was walking in their safeties into the box quite frequently against Texas A&M because they wanted to stop the run. You have the ability to do that when you have a guy in Jay Crawford here to say, hey, we trust you out there on an island. And so not only are they playing this young freshman at cornerback a lot, they're not really giving him a ton of help. They're asking a lot of him as well, too. So you look at Caleb Harris and Jay Crawford, so you got 2 special defensive backs out there for Auburn. Now, I'm going to cheat a little bit, and we're going to talk about the defensive line. I just want to give you – we're talking about young talent, not necessarily freshmen. Can we talk about Keldrick Faell being one of the best defensive linemen that we see in the SEC? And it's not even the box score stuff. I mean, you look at the box score is incredible. 9 tackles for loss, 7 sacks on the year. Very, very good numbers. He's been used all along the defensive line at times playing the 3-tech. But more importantly, I mean, 29 quarterback hurries that leads the team. 20-plus run stops, a hammer against the run. I mean, Keldrick Faell was really, really dang good as a freshman, has taken that step, is going to be back next year as a junior. Probably only going to be play 3 years and go to the NFL, quite frankly. But that next year, I think you're looking at one of the most disruptive defensive linemen that we'll see in the country next year. And that's to go along with some really, really talented defensive linemen that are coming in the 2025 cycle as well. I wanted to give a quick shout out to Keldrick Faell. Now, another freshman that, you're seeing some growing pains, but you're also seeing some really good things from is Malik Blockton. Again, it's rare to see freshmen start along the line of scrimmage in the SEC. Malik Blockton needs to put on a little bit more weight, add a little bit more physicality. At 6'3", probably sitting around 290. I don't think this weight is right. Really quick off the line of scrimmage. That's what I love. Like the juice and athleticism is there in a big way for Malik Blockton. Where you see him struggle is against the run when he's facing double teams, gets moved around a little bit, which is not all that rare for a kid that's 18 years old playing his first year of college football, going up against grown men on the offensive line. If he can address that and put on a little bit more anchor, put on a little bit more play strength, put on a little bit more weight, specifically in that lower half, get better at dealing with some of those double teams that he's seeing, this kid, I think, can be real difference maker on the inside of the defensive line. I think he can do some of the dirty work in terms of holding up to double teams, but he gives you so much more juice than a guy like Isaiah Rakes from the inside of the defensive line in terms of what he can do rushing the passer and what he can do from a penetration standpoint. One more guy in defense I want to shout out to Demarcus Riddick, who has just a phenomenal quote to the media on Monday saying Ryan Williams ain't that special. Crazy thing to say, that's for sure, but I love it. Like you talk, these kids are wired differently. Like Demarcus Riddick's one of those guys that he ain't going to take a back seat to nobody. He's going to think he's the best player on the football field every single Saturday, whether that's true or not. You need to have that mentality when you're playing a elite level of any sport, but more specifically college football. Like guys are just wired a little bit differently. Demarcus Riddick is that guy. Now, special traits, special flashes. We kind of knew that when he was coming out of high school. Probably needs to get a little bit more instincts and have a better feel for what he's doing on the football field, which is going to come for those linebackers as they play more football. The flashes, specifically in those run and chase situations where he needs to close the distance between himself and the ball carrier, it's there, and it's there in a big way. And so you look at Demarcus Ruffin, say really, really bright future. Going to the offensive side of the football, and again, a lot of the conversation is going to go to Cam Coleman, who has been awesome. Malcolm Simmons has really been good. And you look at Malcolm Simmons, one, I love how he balances out Cam Coleman. Cam Coleman's that vertical dude. Like, there's just not many defensive backs that can run with Cam Coleman and meet him at the catch point. Safeties have to respect what Cam Coleman's doing. And if you don't want to respect it, we saw what happened Saturday night when you don't want to put a safety over Cam Coleman. When teams are putting safeties over Cam Coleman, creating some of that space in the underneath categories, underneath route tree, I should say. Yeah, Malcolm Simmons has been that guy. And I think Hugh Freeze and this offensive staff are doing a really good job incorporating him in different ways. Now, at the end of the day, 42 targets, he's caught 36 of them. So an 85% completion percentage when he's targeted, 417 yards on the season, 311 of them are coming after the catch. This kid's a difference maker with the football in his hands. And you start projecting what this pass catcher room is going to look like in the 2025 year. Cam Coleman, Perry Thompson on the outside with Malcolm Simmons kind of working in from that slot, being that I'm not going to call him a gadget guy because I don't think he's a gadget guy, but being that just difference maker with the football in his hands, the future's bright for Auburn. And you look at the transfer portal, and we're going to get into this conversation a little bit more over the next couple of weeks. One, we expect Auburn to be a massive player in the transfer portal for a quarterback. And then the offensive line, where you're going to lose a lot of seniors to graduation. I mean, it helps to keep Connor Lew as that stalwart center, but you're going to have to build around him. If Auburn can go to the transfer portal and fill in that offensive line and land a difference maker at quarterback, they can compete at the highest level of the SEC in 2025. I feel very, very comfortable saying that. And so we'll see how Auburn decides to play it. We all know that Hugh Freeze is going to make some moves. What moves are they going to be? We'll find out. We'll continue to talk about it. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.